everyone, welcome to the Jayda InStitches show. Today we've got something for you for the shower. It's a body scrubber. This is a little bit bigger than the pot scrubber we made a few years ago here on the channel, but this one has bobbles built into it for extra scrubbing power. But that's not all. If you're like me and you have a tendency to drop things everywhere, then you probably really drop stuff in the shower. So we added a strap. It slips over a few of your fingers, maybe all 4 of them, depending on the size of your hand, and it makes you less likely to drop it while you're scrubbing down in the shower. Now, this one was made using that 100% cotton scrubby yarn for dishes that's got that kind of extra friction-y feeling yarn in it, and I like that. I like the way it feels on my skin. But for demonstration purposes today, I've made one using just plain 100% cotton yarn. This is just as good for the shower. It's got the bobbles worked in. It's also got the little strap, but I figured since we're doing the bobble stitch, you might want to see what I'm actually doing. So I'm demonstrating with regular cotton. But if you've got access to that scrubby stuff, I highly recommend you try making 1 or 2 or 10 of these in that yarn too. One more thing I want to mention about today's tutorial. The stitch count is not important. Now, I'm going to give you the stitch count at the end of every row like I usually do, but I don't want you to get hung up on the number of stitches or where you put them or where you've put your hook. What we're going for is 6 evenly spaced bobbles, a circular-ish thing that folds back in on itself, and then we're going to build that strap into it directly. So there's no sewing involved in today's tutorial either. So don't think of it in terms of, I've got to get this right. Think of it in terms of practicing the bobble stitch if you've never made bobbles before, but more importantly, making something that you're going to be able to use in the shower. And trust me, once it's been in the shower getting used a few times and then tossed through the washing machine, you're not going to be concerned about how many stitches were in it or where they were placed. Okay, let's grab our hooks, we'll grab our cotton yarn, we'll head on over to the craft table, and we will stitch up a couple of shower scrubbies together. In order to make our little shower scrubby with a handle, you're going to want around 20 yards of a size 4 medium weight cotton. Now for this one, I actually use that Scrubby Scrub Off 100% cotton yarn that you can get. It's good for scrubbing dishes, but it's also good for scrubbing skin too. And I am going to use regular 100% cotton yarn for today's tutorial, just so you can see my stitches. But if you want that extra exfoliating power, then you might want to consider using the Scrubby yarn. A pair of scissors, a yarn needle, a stitch marker, and the hook I'm using today is a 5mm. This is also known as an H or an 8 in the US. And once you've got all that together, we can get started. We're going to begin with a cinch circle. If cinch circles give you trouble, I highly recommend that you at least try them, but you can make a slip knot, chain 5, and join with a slip stitch to make a ring if you find that more comfortable. After you make your cinch circle, chain 1, we're going to work 12 half double crochet into the circle. So if you made the chain ring, chain 1, work 12 half double crochet into your circle. And if you're using the cinch circle technique like me, make sure you work your half double crochet stitches over top of that short tail, because we're going to cinch the circle shut using that short tail. Once you have 12 half double crochet worked into your circle, grab that short tail, cinch your circle up nice and tight, and then join with a slip stitch to the top of that first half double crochet. And I'm going to work over top of my little short tail. There is your circle complete. You'll have 12 stitches all the way around, plus what we call the false stitch. So if you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, this is the stitch caused by joining with a slip stitch right here. So you'll see we joined into this stitch. If we used the same stitch that we joined in, then this would become an extra stitch, but we're actually going to work the first set of stitches into the next stitch. So the stitch you joined in, and if you pull up on your loop you can see the stitch you joined in, we're going to ignore like it doesn't exist. We're going to chain 1. This is the stitch we're working into. We're going to work 2 half double crochets into that stitch to begin. Into the next stitch, we're going to work our first bobble. And here's how we do a bobble. Everything is going to be worked into this stitch, and here we go. Yarn over, pick up a loop, and yarn over, work the first half of what would normally be a double crochet. We're going to do that 3 more times into the same stitch. So this little guy right here. Yarn over, pick up a loop, yarn over, pull back through 2 loops. Yarn over, pick up a loop, yarn over, pull back through 2 loops. Yarn over, pick up a loop, yarn over, pull back through 2 loops. So you've got your working loop that was there from the work you did before, and now you've got 4 half-worked double crochet stitches. That's 5 loops in total on your hook. And those 4 half-worked half double crochet stitches are all worked into the same place. Yarn over, pull back through everything, chain 1, and now into that same place that you worked those 4 double crochet stitches together, you're going to slip stitch. So this is very tight. It's going to force all of those stitches to the back, and we want to squeeze them all back to the front. So get your finger in there, squeeze those stitches to the front, and there is a bobble made. We don't want to miss the next stitch, so it's helpful to pull back on all your work. Find the next stitch around row 1 there, work 2 half double crochet into it, and now into the next stitch we're going to work another bobble. Here we go. Yarn over, pick up a loop, work the first half of a double crochet, yarn over, pick up a loop, work the first half of a double crochet, yarn over, pick up a loop, work the first half of the double crochet, and once more yarn over, pick up a loop, work the first half of your double crochet. You'll have 5 loops on your hook, 4 of them are half worked double crochet stitches, yarn over, pull back through everything, chain 1, and then into that same place you're going to slip stitch. So a lot goes into a single stitch. That's going to shove all of your stitches in that direction. You're going to take a second and just push them back out to the front, and we've got these cute little bobble stitches happening. There we go. Make sure you don't miss the next stitch. Work 2 half double crochet into it, and then you're going to repeat. Bobble into the next stitch, 2 half double crochet into the stitch after that, bobble into the next stitch, 2 half double crochet into the stitch after that, and so on. We are going to have 6 bobble stitches with 2 half double crochets in between once we get to the end of the row. When you get all the way back around, you'll finish with 2 half double crochet into the second last stitch. Here's what we would call the false stitch normally. You can see the chain that came out of it to begin the row is right there, but we're going to bobble stitch into it because we didn't use the same stitch that we joined in. We actually started the row in the next stitch, so that means we're going to use this guy right here to work our last bobble. Now what you want is 6 bobble stitches separated by 2 half double crochet all the way around. So as long as you've got 6 bobble stitches and 12 half double crochet, then it doesn't really matter where you worked your stitches, just that you've got those bobbles, and it looks somewhat even. I'm going to slip stitch back into the same place to finish that off nice and tight, push all my stitches out, there we go. And now I'm going to find the top of that first half double crochet stitch that I made in the row, and I'm going to join with a slip stitch to the top of it. And that is the end of row 2. So now you've got your little scrubby bobbles showing. We're going to work a row of kind of an increase now. So we're going to chain 1, And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to not use the stitch that we joined in. We're going to start the row in the stitch next to it. We're going to work 2 half double crochet into that stitch, 2 half double crochet into the top of the bobble stitch, and you can tell it's the top of the bobble stitch because it's kind of a big stitch. It joins all those stitches together. So you're going to work 2 half double crochet into it. And then there is the slip stitch that was built on top of it. We're going to work 2 half double crochet into that. That's actually sort of the chain 1. So we're going to use the chain 1. This is just to get the row started. And then we're going to skip the slip stitch. Now what you want to do is find your 2 half double crochets and the top of the bobble stitch. So the half double crochet, the half double crochet, and the top of the bobble stitch. And like I said, it doesn't really matter where you work your stitches. What you want now is 36 stitches all the way around. But I find the easiest 3 stitches to use are the half double crochet, the half double crochet, and the top of the bobble stitch. So here we go. I'm going to use the top of the first half double crochet to work 2 half double crochet into, 2 half double crochet into the top of the next half double crochet, and then I'm back to that big top of the bobble stitch. I can tell because it's really large. 2 half double crochet into it. Then I skip all of the bobble stitch stuff, so that chain 1, the slip stitch, and now I'm looking again for the half double crochet, the half double crochet, and the bobble stitch. I find that these are the 3 easiest stitches to work into. But what you want is to kind of look at your bobble stitch grouping, the 2 half double crochets and the bobble stitch. You've got 6 of those groupings, I should say groupings, all the way around. So what you want to do is work 36 stitches in total by the end of this row. I find it's easiest to work the 2 half double crochet stitches into the tops of the 2 previous stitches in the top of the bobble stitch, but it's up to you. If you find one of the stitches in that little grouping is a little easier to use, then use it. But you're aiming for 36 half double crochet stitches all the way around by the time you get to the end of row 3. And your little bobbles are going to be sort of floating in a sea of regular crochet. When you get all the way back around, you'll have about 36 stitches. You should, because there should be sort of 6 stitches worked per bobble grouping. So that's a bobble and 2 half double crochet from the previous row. You want to make sure you've got 6 stitches worked across the top of it. And you might have some gaps here where you kind of jump over top of your bobble stitches. That's okay. This is a shower scrubby. So if it's got nice spaces in some places, that just basically allows for more sudsing. We're going to find the top of the first half double crochet we made in the row and join with a slip stitch. So now you should have 6 bobbles floating in a sea of half double crochet. Take a moment to kind of really squeeze those bobbles out to the front so they really sort of stand out. You should have what looks like a little flower in relief. And now for row 4, we are just going to work straight half double crochet all the way around. So chain 1. Again, we're not using the same stitch that we joined in. We're going to use the stitch right next to it. Half double crochet into it, half double crochet in each stitch all the way around. You'll have 36 stitches at the end of row 4, and then we're going to start making things small again. Your 36th stitch will be worked into that, what we call the false stitch, but ultimately it doesn't matter. What you want is 36 stitches, more or less, all the way around. From here on out, stitch count matters even less than it did before. This is sort of the edging of our little scrubby, and now we're going to start using some decrease stitches. So we're going to chain 1. Into the next stitch, we're going to start a half double crochet 2 stitches together. So we're going to half double crochet these 2 stitches together. yarn over, pick up a loop in the next stitch, pick up a loop in the stitch after that. So we're not yarn overing twice. We're just going to do it once for the first one and then pick up a loop in the next stitch. This is so we don't have a super bulky half double crochet 2 stitches together. You'll have 4 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull back through everything, half double crochet into the next stitch, and now we repeat. But before we do that, this is where your stitch marker will probably come in handy. You might want to mark the top of that first half double crochet 2 stitches together. And the reason I say that is because you see how there's a very gentle gradient of that stitch. It's not very tall, it's not very short, but it could blend in with your previous stitches. So I find it's helpful to mark that stitch. That's your half double crochet 2 stitches together that started the row. Then we half double crocheted, and now we're going to repeat. We're going to half double crochet 2 stitches together. Remember, you'll have 4 loops on your hook, yarn over, back through everything, and then half double crochet into the next stitch. Half double crochet the next 2 stitches together. You only yarn over once, so we don't have a super bulky half double crochet 2 stitches together stitch. And then half double crochet into the next stitch. You're going to repeat that all the way around. You're going to come down to about 24 stitches all the way around. You might find that stitch marker really helpful so you know where your start is. And I'll see you back at the beginning. Your last stitch will be built into that false stitch. Now you see, this is why I felt it was good to mark that first stitch with the half double crochet 2 together with the stitch marker, because this is the chain 1 that began the row, this little guy right here. This is the false stitch, and you see how that just looks like extra stitches? So we know this is the top of the first real stitch we built. This was the chain 1 we used to begin the row. This was the false stitch, or the stitch that sits at the bottom that we kind of would normally ignore, but because we didn't use the stitch directly underneath it, we worked into the second one. This is the stitch we want to use. So I've worked my last half double crochet 2 stitches together. I'm half double crocheting into that stitch. More importantly, I've got 24 stitches all the way around, and my little scrubby is starting to close in. Take out the stitch marker. We're going to join with a slip stitch to the top of that first stitch we made, which was the half double crochet 2 together. You've got 24 stitches all the way around, more or less, and we're going to continue to decrease. So chain 1, we're not using that same stitch. You see that there? I often use that. I work right into the same place as the joining, but this time I just want to kind of keep going in a forward momentum. So we're working into the next stitch. We are going to work half double crochet 2 stitches together all the way around. So we're going to bring our stitch count down in half to 12. So half double crochet every set of 2 stitches together all the way around. And like I said, if you have trouble keeping track of that first stitch because of that lean, whoops, so I know I've done 1, 2, 3 actual stitches. So I'm just going to put a stitch marker on the top of that first half double crochet 2 stitches together. There's the chain 1 that began the row. Here's the false stitch, or that stitch that we kind of climbed away from, and it looks like it could almost be a straight line. So that's why it's helpful to mark that first stitch, because it's small. It's small slanted work, and it's not always easy to sort of tell where the beginning of a row is. So make use of that stitch marker. I've worked the last half double crochet 2 stitches together. I'm really glad that I used that stitch marker because there's the little chain 1 that began the row. It really does look like a stitch, but that stitch marker tells me that I am back at the beginning. I can use the top of that stitch to join and finish off the row. And now, since we all have very different tension, you have an optional finish here. You can single crochet 2 stitches together all the way around. So we'll bring our stitch count down from 6 to 3, or you can just leave this. If it's much, much tighter than mine, mine is, I'd say it's about a 2.5 centimeter in diameter, or maybe an inch in diameter across. If yours is smaller than that, you can just fasten off and weave in your tail and then skip ahead to the handle. Or you can do what I'm about to do, which is to not chain one, I'm going to single crochet 2 stitches together. So no yarn over, you're just picking up a loop in each of the next 2 stitches. You're picking up a loop in each of those 2 stitches, yarn over, and pull back through everything. So it's pretty small work. You're basically going to do this, I should say you had 12 stitches at the end of row 6, so you'll be bringing your stitch count down to 6 by working single crochet 2 stitches together all the way around. So that's 6 single crochet 2 together stitches. So you don't even have to do all of them if you find that it's getting very, very small and tight. This is just to basically close in that space. So that's all we really want to do. And there we go. I'd say that's enough. You can join with a slip stitch to the first stitch, or just slip stitch into the next stitch if you feel your little space is closed down enough. Grab your scissors, fasten off, and we're weaving in our tail. Because this is a shower scrubby, not only do we not really have to worry about stitch count, we're going for a shape. So our little bumps there. We're going for a round-ish shape. We are going for a fairly tight kind of stitchery because cotton will stretch a little bit in the water and it'll, stretch out a little bit with use. But we want something relatively round, something that can be flattened, something that has some scrubby bumps on it. And we're not worrying about stitch count or giant spaces left in the back or any of those things. This is a utilitarian little project. So I'm just going to weave my tail in through some of these stitches. And maybe weave it back once or twice. And then we're going to put on a little handle. We've got our scrubby made. This is great for the sink, the kitchen sink, if you're going to scrub some pots and pans, but we are going to put a little handle on it so that we can use it in the shower without it falling off or trying to grip it. So we're going to build our little handle directly onto the back of our scrubby. So we're going to start with a slip knot on our hook. You're looking at the back. You're looking at the 4th row. So this is row 1, row 2, row 3. The 4th row kind of curves around the back, and so it's the back that we're looking at. You're going to grab a stitch, any stitch, doesn't matter, in row 4, basically right around the edge of your scrubby, and you're going to join with a slip stitch. There we go. So join with a slip stitch. You can weave that tail in later or work over top of it later. It's up to you. We're going to chain 10. Try not to twist your foundation chain. You're going to jump straight across to the opposite side, so right across the opposite side. You're just eyeballing it, no need for counting. Just go directly across from where you anchored your yarn. And I want to make sure that my yarn is out of the way, so the yarn is in the right place. I'm going to anchor my yarn with a slip stitch to a stitch directly opposite that one. So you've done this. Then into the stitch next to that, so I'm right-handed, so I'm working to the left. If you're left-handed, you're probably working to the right. Slip stitch around the stitch of row 4 next to that one. And now you're going to half double crochet into each of those 10 chains all the way back. So half double crochet into each chain. You'll have 10 half double crochets when you get all the way back to the beginning. And I'll hook up with you there. Once you've worked the last half double crochet into the last chain, you're looking, just lay it flat on the back of your scrubby. You're looking for the stitch directly above where you originally joined your yarn, and you're going to slip stitch around that stitch. This does not have to be super tidy, doesn't have to be super clean, but you see we're building that little Scrubby gripper directly onto the back. You're going to slip stitch around the stitch above that one. So you slip stitched around a stitch to join. You're going to slip stitch around the next stitch up, turn, and now you're going to work a half double crochet into each of those 10 stitches all the way back. So you're half double crocheting in each stitch all the way back. You should have 10. If you have 9, that's fine. If you have 11, that's fine too. Stitch count does not matter. All we're doing here is building on a little strap so that we can slip it over our fingers and not have to worry so much about trying to hold on to a little scrubber while we're in the very slippery shower. Once you've half double crocheted in each of those 10 stitches all the way back, you're going to find the next stitch up from all the joining you did on this side, and you're just going to join with a slip stitch to anchor that row there. So you've basically engaged 3 stitches of row 4 on one side and 3 stitches of row 4 on the other. You're just slip stitching to join. It's nothing fancy. It doesn't have to be super clean, tidy, neat. But if you make a few of these, you'll discover that it does get a little tidier, a little easier to do. You'll kind of get more comfortable about where you want to slip your hook in, where you want to join your stitches. So just if you've never done this kind of join a little handle as you go, or you're working around stitches and it feels kind of strange, treat the first Scrubby as kind of an experiment. What you're looking for are 6 little bumps, a fairly tight little bit of fabric, and a built-in little strap that you can slip over 3, 4, 2, whatever, however many fingers you find you need. You're going to take your little straps now, or your little ties that are left over, just weave them in. It can be underneath the strap, it can be across the back of the strap, it does not matter. This is a utilitarian cotton project. It is meant to get wet, to get dirty even. You're going to want to throw it in the washing machine every so often. You're going to be getting it all covered in suds, and you're going to be giving it a real workout. So aesthetics are not as important as its operating ability. So keep that in mind. And make the first one for yourself if you're not sure, and then once you get sort of comfortable with the little pattern, like I think these are really, really cute myself, make a few, put them in your make-ahead stash. They make fantastic gifts. And there we go! A little shower scrubby with bobbles and a strap for added grip purposes. I love this. I can't wait to use them in the shower. And I think this is the kind of thing that is a great idea for your make-ahead stash. You can get a lot of these out of a single ball of cotton yarn. And if you enjoy making it and you like practicing the bobble stitch, then you might as well make up a stack. And if you don't use them, then they're a great little thing to tuck into a last-minute gift with maybe a bottle of nice shower soap or something for somebody if you're going to visit, or if you need a gift for a birthday you forgot was coming. I know we've all been there. Anyway, we hope you enjoyed making that along with us, and looking forward to your next shower to boot. I know I am. Anyway, we will see you soon here on the Jayda and Stitches show. Until then, stay safe, stay crafty, and have a great week. Bye, everybody.
Hi, everyone. This is Mama in Stitches. Thank you for watching. Here are a few other videos you might enjoy. Don't forget to subscribe, and you can also click the like button and the bell. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.